I never thought I'd be posting here, but my family has basically split in half over what happened, and I need outside opinions. For context, my father passed away last year after a long battle with cancer. It was one of the hardest things our family had ever gone through. My dad was a good man. Not perfect, but good. He left behind me, my younger brother Mark, and our mother. At least, that's what everyone thought. The funeral was attended by over 100 people. Friends, co-workers, distant relatives, neighbors, people whose lives my father had touched over the years. The service was emotional. People cried. Stories were shared. My mother sat in the front row holding a tissue the entire time. Everything seemed normal. Until a woman walked into the church with 2 teenage boys. Nobody recognized her. She wasn't a relative. She wasn't one of Dad's friends. At first, everyone assumed she had simply come to pay her respects. But then something strange happened. My brother Mark stood up and immediately walked over to greet her. Not just greet her. He hugged her. Then he hugged the boys. Like family. I noticed. My wife noticed. Several relatives noticed. But nobody said anything because it wasn't the time or place. The funeral continued. Afterward, everyone gathered at the reception hall for food and condolences. That's where things started getting weird. The woman and the boys weren't acting like guests. They were acting like they belonged there. My brother kept checking on them. Making sure they had food. Introducing them to people. Laughing with them. At one point I overheard one of the boys call Mark Dad. I nearly dropped my drink. Dad? Mark wasn't married. As far as our family knew, he didn't even have children. I assumed I misheard. But then it happened again. Dad, can I grab another soda? Mark smiled. Sure, buddy. I stared at him. He stared back. And suddenly looked terrified. The rest of the afternoon I couldn't focus on anything else. Finally, I cornered him outside. What the hell is going on? He immediately knew what I meant. His face went white. He asked me to lower my voice. That only made me more suspicious. I asked who the woman was. He said her name was Sarah. I asked who the boys were. He said they were Ethan and Jacob. Then I asked the obvious question. Why are they calling you Dad? Mark looked around before answering. Because apparently he'd been hiding a secret for nearly 16 years. Sarah wasn't his girlfriend. She was his wife. The boys were his sons. I honestly thought he was joking. 16 years. A wife. 2 kids. And nobody knew? Not our mother. Not our relatives. Not even me. Apparently Mark met Sarah years ago while working in another state. They got married quietly. Started a family. And decided to keep everything private. I asked why. His answer made absolutely no sense. He claimed he wanted to avoid family drama. Avoid family expectations. Avoid people interfering in his life. So instead he simply never told anyone. For 16 years. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But the worst part came next. Our father had known. Dad had known for over a decade. And helped him keep it secret. While my mother remained completely unaware. I felt sick. Dad had spent years lying to Mom. Helping Mark maintain an entire second life. At his own funeral, no less. I asked whether Mom knew now. Mark said no. He was planning to tell her later. Maybe months later. Maybe after she'd finished grieving. I looked through the reception hall window. My mother was inside talking to relatives. Completely unaware that she had 2 grandsons. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every minute that passed felt wrong. I kept imagining how betrayed she'd feel if she learned everyone knew except her. Eventually I walked back inside. My mother asked me what was wrong. I told her we needed to talk. Mark saw us. He immediately started shaking his head, begging me silently not to say anything. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't look my mother in the eye and continue the lie. So I told her everything. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just the truth. Her expression changed instantly. Confusion. Disbelief. Shock. Then tears. She thought I was joking. Then she saw Mark's face. And realized it was real. The room became silent. Word spread quickly. Within minutes relatives were whispering everywhere. My mother confronted Mark directly. Asked whether it was true. He admitted everything. The woman. The marriage. The children. All of it. My mother collapsed into a chair and cried. She kept asking one question over and over. Why didn't you tell me? Mark didn't have an answer. At least not one anyone accepted. The reception was basically ruined. Half the guests left early. Family members argued. Some yelled at Mark. Others yelled at me. Sarah looked mortified. The boys seemed completely confused. And my mother spent the rest of the day crying. For weeks afterward the family was chaos. Mom refused to answer Mark's calls. Several relatives cut contact with him entirely. Others blamed me for exposing everything at the worst possible moment. They argued I should have waited. That a funeral wasn't the place. That Mom had already suffered enough. Maybe they're right. But here's the thing. Mark had already chosen the funeral. Not me. He brought his secret family there. He introduced them to everyone. He let his sons call him Dad in public. He created the situation. I only refused to continue the lie. Months later my mother finally met her grandsons properly. She loves them. Absolutely adores them. But her relationship with Mark has never fully recovered. She says the hidden marriage hurt. The hidden children hurt more. But knowing her husband helped keep the secret was what broke her heart. As for me? Mark still barely speaks to me. He says I destroyed his family. I say he destroyed it himself the moment he built it on 16 years of deception. So, AITA? If you enjoyed this Reddit story and want more shocking family secrets, relationship drama, and AITA stories, subscribe and like for more daily stories. Bell Open Book.